A very good morning to all of you and welcome to today's interactive session on digital currency, new era of virtual assets. We are fortunate to have with us Padma Shri Bimal Kumar Roy, Chairperson, National Statistical Commission, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India, and Founder and General Secretary, Cryptology Research Society of India. We also have with us Shri Vinod Kothari, Managing Director, Vinod Kothari and Company. We are also expecting a CA Hanish Jain, partner HSKA and Associates, who will be joining us a little while later. Before commencing the program, we would like to welcome our guest speakers and guest-in-chief with bouquet of flowers. To do the honors, I would request our President, Shri Ramesh Kumar Saraugi, to welcome Shri Padma Shri Dr. Bimal Kumar Roy with the bouquet. I would request, we have with us our Senior Vice President, Shri N.G. Khaitan, and I would request Shri Khaitan to welcome Shri Kothari with a bouquet of flowers. We also have with us CA Hanish Jain, who is joining online, and a very big welcome to him as well. I would now request Shri Saraugi to commence the program with his welcome address. Thank you.
Padma Shri Dr. Roy, Shri Vinodji Kothari, members of the chamber, guests and friends, I welcome you all to an interactive session on digital currency, new era of virtual assets, organized by the chamber this afternoon. The panel speakers for today's session are representatives from both the industry and academia and would deliberate on the technical know-hows of using virtual assets and the existent regulations governing their users. At the outset, I would like to extend a very warm and hearty welcome to Padma Shri Dr. Bimal Roy, Chairman, National Statistics Commission, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. Dr. Roy additionally serves as the head of the R.C. Bose Center for Cryptology and Security, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and as the General Secretary of the Cryptology Research Society of India. Dr. Roy is regarded as one of the finest cryptologists of the country and was honored with the Padma Shri Award in 2015 for his contributions in the field. He had also served as the director of ISI Kolkata and is currently researching on combinatorics and application of statistics in cryptology and design experiments. From the industry, we have amongst us Sri Vinodji Kothari, Managing Partner, Vinod Kothari and Company. We had the pleasure of being addressed by Sri Kothari last year on CSR rules. He is one of the most respected consultants in company law, having experiences spanning 30 years. He is also an internationally recognized author and trainer on specialized financial subjects and has lectured on topics like housing finance, securitization, credit derivatives, accounting for financial instruments, structured finance, banking regulations, etc., all over the globe. It is indeed a privilege that participants at today's session will get an opportunity to learn more about digital assets from such erudite speakers. I welcome them all once again. We are expectant that CA Hanish Jain, partner HSKA and Associates, may join us online for sharing his views on digital assets. I would also offer him a hearty welcome to our midst as well. Friends, the Central Budget 2022 has taken a bold step to usher in a new digital era, starting from digitalization of universities, post offices to creation of a new digital rupee, which is the central bank's digital currency, and legitimization cryptocurrency. We welcome these initiatives of acceleration of digitalization. This interactive session therefore gives us a unique opportunity to learn more about the introduction of these new instruments in cash-dependent India and the technological and regulatory issues concerning digital currency and cryptocurrency. I would request Dr. Roy to outline the challenges and opportunities regarding the technological platform for management of cryptocurrencies and the scope of innovation and opportunities for the MSMEs in this arena. Besides, people need to know more about blockchain and if it is more secure than other technologies. The budget has proposed a 30% tax on digital assets. Further, the buyer shall be liable to withhold tax on payments made from the purchase of such assets at the rate of 1% as withholding tax. Besides, gain or losses on sale of virtual assets will not be allowed as set off against any other gains or losses. I would request Sri Kothari to share his thoughts on these aspects and also on the possible effect of cryptocurrency in money laundering and price volatility. Secondly, the important question now is, will the younger generation still use commercial banks in this digital era? If the digital currency has a disruptive force on term deposits, will there be any effect on the resources for economic growth? I would like our guest, Dr. Roy, and both our panelists to share their thoughts in this direction as well. With these words, I would conclude my speech and request Dr. Roy to commence his address. Dr. Roy.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sarogi, and my sincere thanks to Bharat Chamber of Commerce for inviting me on these occasions. This is not very common for me. Normally, I address either the government officials or the students. So this is a different kind of experience for me. So I accept this challenge. This is my challenge. Okay. At the onset, let me just clarify one thing before you even start any deliberations. Cryptocurrency and digital currency are not the same thing. Well, cryptocurrency is one form of digital currency, but digital currency is much wide. Cryptocurrency has I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that, very specific use in the domain of digital currency. Digital currency means what? Just by broadly, we don't have any physical coin or physical notes. But we have been already using it in some form or other. We do Paytm, okay, even these credit card payments, online payments, we don't use any currency in the natural sense. Okay, even I don't see my salary these days. My salary goes to my bank account. Okay, and I spend that salary using my online, mostly my online transactions. Only for the normal bazaar, when I go to buy my fish or vegetables, I use my cash, and the ordinary street shops where I buy tea at 5 rupees per cup. Otherwise, I don't use any physical currency as such. So I would say all my spending, maybe at most 10% is spent on the usual currency. So these are all form of digital currency. So what are the concerns there? I'll talk about that. What are the concerns of these things? The concern is basically the kind of fraud that may happen. Now, making a fraud with physical currency, and it's physical. If somebody has to take my money out of me, you have to physically get me, hit me, okay, or pickpocket my wallet and take my money. But there would be many other easier ways to steal my digital money. I'll just talk about one example which I learned in US. That old man, well, he had less memory. Even I'm getting older, my memory is getting little loose. So in USA is broadly, they use more digital currency than us anyway. The old person didn't want to, but anyway, he was influenced to use the digital currency. Then for his banking card, the password, this is a very practical problem, you have to set a password. Now he knew that, well, I think it's a problem for all of us. The password that we set is something that we don't like to forget, right? So what he put his grandson's date of birth as a password. What he thought he would never. But this is the mistake he did, and the people knew that this person has a lot of money in the bank, and people guessed that he could not really pick up what I call a random password. He can remember things. Even I cannot, if I pick up a random 6 digits, I can remember tomorrow. So we also all tend to choose passwords or the PIN and etc. In such a way that we don't forget. So it ultimately boils down to a very few possible passwords or PINs. And this person, these young kids, tried all those plausible things and could get into his bank account, and it was emptied. So the first vulnerability comes in choice of your password and PIN. What, as a cryptologist, we do recommend that it should be what we call a random sequence that is not predictable by anybody. But realizing this notion of randomness is I would say, very difficult. As of today, this is not resolved to the greatest satisfaction level. And then, and what about cryptocurrency? Now that's a very, very new concept. The digital currency is actually there for a long time. When 20 years back we had these credit cards, or this online payment started 20 years back. But cryptocurrency is only came in 2008, and this is a very, very funny thing. Somebody who don't know the name of that person, actual name. So the name looks, Sakamoto, this Nakamoto, this Japanese name. He, Takashi Nakamoto. So what he wrote down a bunch of mathematical problems. Okay, and he says, if you solve this problem, I'll give you 1 unit of my currency. So this is a difficult problem. I'll give 12.5 units of currency, and he called them bitcoins. Now, if nobody would have accepted that, the effort goes that way. Now, you are all business people here. My concern became that this is something you are creating money which has no link to the economic activity. Okay, and it was made so secure. Even these bitcoins or the cryptocurrencies, they are made so secure, nobody can guess. So if I am, what we assume is that if we do a digital payment, digital transactions, we use the cyber network. And as you know that cyber networks are very vulnerable, so anybody can actually know with little effort what is going on between my machine and his machine, or his machine or his machine, how we are communicating. So what they designed is that they used very strong crypto tools or crypto mechanisms, so that even if you can track all these transactions over the internet, it's impossible, not impossible, it's very, very difficult to guess who is transacting what with whom. And this has been made possible by crypto technology. And then they made it very democratic also. They have defined a notion of miners. See here, who does give you the money? Reserve Bank gives you the authority that well, these monies are being printed and so on and so forth. The money flows like this. Now there, in this Takashi's proposition, there will be a notion of miners, and if you solve a problem in that list, and then the miners will basically verify whether you have solved the problem or not, and then according to what Nakamoto mentioned, you get so many bitcoins. Now there will be some kind of a database where this data would be stored, that yes, Khaitanji has got 2 bitcoins. Now who verifies? It's public verification. And all these transactions are stored in something called a blockchain concept. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. I would say this is nothing new, but the term came new because things used there are very much being used for many years. And probably I'll tell you a little story here, which I'll tell 2 stories just because I don't want to get very technical, no mathematics, no algorithms, etc. But if I tell you these 2 stories, you'll understand this, what I mean. And these are being actually practiced in technology. My first story goes to one of my very favorite play by Rabindranath Tagore. I don't know if you read it. It's in Bangla. It's called Rokto Korobi. In English, it is translated in English, Red Oleander. So what is the story about? I'll take 2 minutes to tell the story. The essential part of Tagore's story. That industry was being built up in the British era, and so they need industrial laborers. So British will get we have no dearth of poor farmers. So they will get poor farmers from all over the country and put them into the industry. They will be levered for a job, but virtually they become the slaves. That's the other part, but I'm the technical part. So when a person is brought to the industry, well, there's something called a HR system there. We call HR, but we used to call something else at that time. So probably if he's brought to the industry to become a slave for the rest of his life, first we get all the data, your name, father's name, village, blah, blah, blah. You take all this history of this person, and then he was assigned a number. Okay, I know in Bengali it would be probably called Ungo, Ek, Char, Dui. So everybody would be given a number. And then henceforth, so don't take it other way because Aadhaar is just like that. So Rabindranath Tagore wouldn't have been happy with this other thing. So they were given a number. So everybody would get a number, and henceforth, the identity of that person is lost, is only known by that number. So 10 years from the timeline, when 2 persons were talking to each other, they referred to by numbers. One guy asked the other guy, "Do you remember your father's name?" And he couldn't recollect. Oh, bhul gaya. And then the other said, "Do you know the name of your village, how to go there?" And he couldn't recollect. Now, I thought that was the greatest human tragedy that Tagore wanted to point out, that your identity is lost. And it's lost in one way. From your identity, you go to a number, and you cannot come back from number to that identity. Okay, this is what I call in this domain, in this era, hash functions. This is one-wayness. So now my identity is not going to be my all these attributes, my name and etc. Now all these things will be ultimately reduced to, as we talk of a hash function, it will give you a particular number assigned to you. The way it is being constructed is that the number will be known to everybody maybe. So your identity becomes that number, and because of this one-wayness, you cannot come back from the number to the person. So if something goes in transactions, my hash and his hash, we are interacting. From the hash, nobody could get possibly who that person is. So I gave this talk, this idea, even international domain, that I feel that Rabindranath Tagore is the creator of hash functions, and nobody really objected to me. Okay, I don't think. But this is the first part of the technology, that your identity is mapped or to a number by a mathematical function, what we call hash function, which is one way. Means from here, you could go from here to there, there to here. I can talk about a very childhood example. These things are so apparent. When we learned, multiplying two numbers, 4 times 3 is 12. We could multiply number easily. But if I tell you the product, can you find out what are the numbers that I multiplied? There may not be even a just unique solution. And as of today, in the international research community, I cannot factor a number in an efficient way. So this is what I call one way. Numbers I can multiply, but from the product I cannot come back to the numbers. So impossible, it's very, very difficult. So that is the first notion these crypto people used, that you have to just destroy your identity in a way that nobody would be able to get from the hash value who you are. And the hash functions they use these days are very strong. So breaking those is actually very difficult. I don't know if IT business domain, they used to use MD5, one very strong hash function, but the Chinese guy broke that. So they had international competition, and now they have an international standard of a new hash function. That is called sponge. So this is being used. The first one. And the second one, the communication. I go back to my high school days. And now I can recollect things, when things are moving. It's not that I knew or realized at that point of time. How do we communicate very safely? Because that I'm sending him the message that I'm transferring you half Bitcoin to you. How does this go to him? Two things I have to ensure. That he must be sure that it has come from me, and I must be sure that it is only going to him, not to anybody else. And the content also remains very, very confidential. How do I achieve this? I had an outstanding math teacher. Well, he didn't know, of course, anything of cryptology or anything of security, nothing. But he had a very strong notion of intuition. And one day he was telling, in my school we used to have every month a monthly test. So he will take a test in the class. So we write down a piece of paper, Bimal Roy, so many, out of 20, so much, so on and so forth. Then he will just fold it, put it in an envelope, and then we used to have the gum that time. There's no sellotape, there's a gum, and seal it, and give the peon, and you take it to the headmaster. So headmaster will open it, and he will have a big, like a ledger book, everybody's, all the monthly tests, he will just copy the numbers. And then once he told, this is very unsafe. And he quoted another Bengali story. I don't want to extend my talk, but I will tell you what he observed. Bengali story by Bonoful. So Bonoful, I think, was the first person to realize that all communications may be unsafe. But that story I don't tell, but what he pointed out from that story is that, this is very unsafe communication. Because in the teacher's room, there is a electric heater at the corner and a kettle. And whenever any teacher wants to drink tea, then they will ask the peon. The peon will boil the water and make the tea. And he says, again from Bonoful, a story, that if I put that envelope, the sealed envelope, before the steam, the gum loosens. And then he can take out the mugs. He can change the marks as he wishes. He can put it back, put the gum once again, headmaster can't identify. So this is very unsafe. So this is vulnerable. So he designed it. He told, I am thinking of a new way of communicating. And that is a revolution. If you would have written that article even in a popular newspaper, he would have been billionaire today. His idea. But anyway, he just told to us, only I know, nobody else knows. Only my classmates know, but I try to propagate that. So I will make a small attache case. Okay, in attache case, there are two locks at two ends and two different keys. And in order to open the attache case, you have to open both the locks. He says, I have an attache case. One key is with me and one key is left with the headmaster. So I put your worksheet there. Okay, and then I lock it my side. And then I say the peon, go and take it to the headmaster. The headmaster cannot open it. What the headmaster will do, he will lock his side. And then he would say, the peon, take it back to Kalyan Babu. And what now Kalyan Babu would do, he would open his side. Okay? And then he said, now take it to the headmaster. And the headmaster now will open his side, he will take the mark sheet out. Just think it once. And just using this attaché case with two locks, one key with him, one key with the headmaster, and this little communication between them is ensuring many things. Assuming that this is made of hard metal, you cannot break it. Nobody can take it out without breaking it. So this is what is called encryption actually, putting into a hard box. And with these keys, what Kalyan Babu is ensuring, that only headmaster can get it, nobody else can get it. And what the headmaster is ensured of, it's Kalyan Babu who has sent it, nobody else. So this is what we call authenticated secured communication, which is exactly the way these bitcoins work, these transactions. I think I give credit to, no, he's no more, I give credit to my math teacher. And I told this in an international forum also. So I attribute this, the notion of your identity getting into hash function where you cannot get the identity back, and the communication using Kalyan Babu's primitive idea, which is now modern, etc. So this is the actual mode of communication, no matter what technology used. The basic principle is exactly what Kalyan Babu told us in this mathematics. And the last part is, now where do you store all these transactions? Because people could deny. So there are databases where you store the information. But there have been a lot of issues of hacking the database, getting some data and so on and so forth. So there came a new idea called blockchain technology. Again, this basically uses data structures which are very commonly used in computer science, in IT industry, but people put things together in a way that in that database, that means in this record of transactions, even if one bit is changed, there will be a trigger. And the entire community would know. Entire community would know. And they would know exactly where some compromises happened. Now this is I think they put together all these existing technologies and they made this blockchain, what they call. I don't want to get into all the technical and diagram photos, but they use basically the binary tree structures, hash functions, and these things, some one-way functions in a very smart way. But it ensures that if even a bit in the database is changed, it will be triggered to the entire community. Okay, and so that's what they call this immutable database, and that is achieved by this blockchain technology. So this is precisely the technology part of this crypto, and this is the same thing. It happens with digital currency, similar thing. That there are two basic difference. Crypto, the authority has no control on it. The users are handling. So this is so the government has no clue of what is happening. So we are doing. The miners are decided by Nakamoto. If you get a Bitcoin, if you can actually solve one of the problems and get Bitcoin by solving a problem, then you have a choice to become a miner. You need not be, but you could be a miner. So then you become basically a referee of the remaining of the matches. This is very democratic, and government has no role to play. And government, as of today, can't extract any information what is going on there. Digital currency technology would be the same. However, government will have control. The amount being minted is decided by the government. All this database will be actually known to the government. So the privacy issue is not quite there. Privacy is preserved there. So digital currency means government is going to have a complete control. And crypto means government no control. Technology is same. There it is very democratic. Instead of miners decide, miners could be one of us. If you solve if you just go to the Bitcoin side, there are still a lot of millions of unsolved problems. If you can solve one problem, you can get In China, I think these Chinese people have actually become very rich by solving this problem. And I don't know how the price goes up, because you are the business people, you know better. I have no idea why the price fluctuates. So it has been an asset. So Bitcoin in 2008 was 50 cents. Now it is $20,000 or maybe even more. $30,000. $38,000. So even 3 years back, when I was giving a talk to Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, when he was removed 3 years back, right? I was having a meeting, and that time it was $8,000. Okay, why this is being so important? I think you people will understand better. That's a business model, but technologically it remains the same. So this thing should be understood very clearly. Technology for digital currency and cryptocurrency are the same, but digital currency is controlled by the government or the Reserve Bank or the central bank of the country. Cryptocurrency is democratic, so we could actually create a cryptocurrency if we decide, because there are also now more and more cryptocurrency other than the Bitcoin. One young boy came from Hyderabad to me, that he said he's trying to create his own cryptocurrency. If I could advise him, I told, you must have a permission of the government. No, I will register in Singapore. So run that from Singapore. Okay, so, and then I don't know how his business model will go, but I told you, this is the technology you have to use. Everybody uses. I'll point the last one, when one of my good friend, Urjit Patel, he was the RBI governor, and he left controversy of demon. He quit. But that time only, he invited me for a meeting, and he was telling, they're still thinking whether, see, cryptocurrencies, they think, nobody can prove it, is being used for terrorism-related activities, all illegal drug-related activities, payments, and etc. So, will they ban it? Even today, this is a question to the government: will they keep it legal or they will ban it? I have carefully observed Nirmala Sitharaman's statement that cryptocurrency is not a legal tender, but she never mentioned that this is banned. So now you can tell me better what is the difference between these two. I have carefully observed that she has to, it's not a legal tender. But she didn't say that this is an illegal thing either. This cryptocurrency is banned. So holding cryptocurrency is not illegal in my point. So I could buy a cryptocurrency from Hong Kong exchange. I could keep it. I could sell it in US market. So this becomes my asset with this government's policy. It becomes asset. So to Indians, if you are into this, in fact, I'll tell you one of my, I have a colleague, Kishan Chandra Gupta. He comes from a Marwari family, a business family, and he said that, I don't get into all these things, but I told my nephew to buy I think 10 years back, a few, not much investment, you buy some 10, 20, and he has become very rich now. So he says, any opportunity, I like to advise investment. So this is more of an investment. Government still did not. I think the reason I told Urjit that it's no point making it illegal, because you can't make something illegal unless you can actually implement the issue. So we make it illegal. But me and Mr. Sarogi, we transact. Well, police is on top of our network. Don't find out who is sending what. So I told Urjit that unless you have a way to implement your legal structure, what is the point of making it illegal? So that's where it stands. It's not illegal, but it's not a legal tender. You can understand. So this is, to Indian community, this is more of an asset. And I'm very scared of this cryptocurrency personally, because if it floods the economy, the inflation is going to boom. Because normally the currency is minted related to the economic activity. Now suddenly money is coming, pouring into the market. If we allow use, if I can buy my fish with cryptocurrency, and this money comes from nowhere, nothing to do with the production of fish or production of goods. So much money comes to the economy, nothing to do with the production, and I am afraid the inflation is going to skyrocket it. So I am in support of not making it legal, but I don't know how to regulate it either. Okay, I think I will stop here, and then probably there will be more questions. And I want to be very non-technical, which is a bit of challenge for me. Normally I write down formulas, equations, and so on and so forth, to tell in very plain language the conceptual things. And I think I could distinguish between the digital currency and cryptocurrency. This is very most important, the same, except that who controls it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roy. Now, is Mr. Hanish Jain, has he joined? Huh? Okay, fine. I request Vinod ji to address the chamber.
Maybe I can go there to operate my...
Yeah, sure.
I wonder whether you have a mic there, but mic.
I deliberately didn't make a slide because slides will be technical. And then they might fall in sleep.
You don't need slides, sir.
No, because if I put slides, it will be so technical, people will go to sleep.
You hardly need it. I don't even know whether I'll need a mic. I don't know whether it's needed for the people who are joining virtually.
I think it's for the online.
People joining virtually. I think I'll keep it here.
There are online people, Vinod ji.
I know, I can see people online too. So, very good afternoon to all of you, and indeed a great pleasure to be here in the midst of all of you. Particularly, I must say it's a privilege listening to Dr. Roy and the way he could expound such a technical subject with reference to Tagore's story and Banuful's story, and make it so very non-technical and so very precisely clear to everyone. Now, I would say first of all, let me clarify what is it that I am going to talk about. I am going to primarily focus on this topic which you can see on screen, central bank digital currencies. Though the topic of virtual digital assets has several facets which could be of interest to people here. And I must also say that I am glad to have some 30-40 people participating here. And I think equal number of people participating online. But this topic particularly is one which is of tremendous interest to younger generation. If you had some 25 something or 20 somethings, the topic would have been really a craze. And I'm sure all of you realize that at home, if you have a 20 something guy, a boy or a girl, I think 3 or 4 hours a day they'll probably spend talking about NFTs and cryptos and what all. Round that day, there is a tremendous interest of youngsters in this such fast emerging topic. So that's I would say the level of interest on the subject. But there are several facets from which the subject is engaging interest. Number one, the tax on virtual digital assets, which I would imagine Mr. C.A. Hanish is going to talk about. Then the announcement in the budget that the government will be coming with a central bank digital currency. And this is the project for financial year 22-23. So very shortly we'll probably have some pilot phase of introduction of central bank digital currencies. And I think that itself was a sensational news. People thought Modi ji क्या करने वाले हैं, दोबारा का demonetization लाने वाले हैं क्या, कहीं ये बोल दे कि 2000 का नोट अब CBDC फॉर्म में यूज करना पड़ेगा. So there was a tremendous sensation there as well as to what exactly will CBDC be, in what form will it be introduced, and what impact will it have on the banking sector, on people in general. And the third, of course, is the extremely enticing, exciting, intoxicating subject of private cryptocurrency, the bitcoins that we just talked. Dr. Roy talked about it. Dr. Roy also said that, well, the prices have been sort of ping-ponging. Tremendous fluctuations keep happening in prices. And I was just mentioning that, I don't know whether you realize that 10 crores of Indians, 2 कोटी Indians invest कर रहे हैं cryptocurrency में. 10 crores of Indians. Look at the amount of interest it's engaging. Whether the government is legalized or not legalized is a question still. The government has not come openly whether it's legal or illegal. But the magnanimity of the problem is that 10 crore youngsters are already invested into cryptocurrencies. The market cap of all the cryptos. How many cryptos there will be? Bitcoin, Ether, Tether, etc. The names that you all probably would know. How many cryptocurrency do you guess what might there be? Any guess? Any guess, anyone? कितनी cryptocurrency world में होंगी? कितनी होंगी? Bitcoin के नाम से?
More than 2,000?
There are 13,000 cryptocurrencies world over. 13,000 cryptos, and they're, I mean, sort of evolving every day. Every other day there is probably new cryptocurrency emerging. With a market cap of approximately 1.8 trillion US dollars. So that's the magnanimity of the issue. So that's the topic which is engaging tremendous interest. Unfortunately, I'm not going to discuss this subject, because this subject is a completely different subject and it's beyond me. At the most, I'll make few observations on what are the differences between central bank digital currency and private cryptocurrency. That's what creates a background for a central bank digital currencies to get evolved in the country. So what is it that we're going to discuss? We're going to talk about central bank digital currencies, and the first question that comes is, India has announced plans to introduce central bank digital currency in financial year 22-23. Most likely it would be a pilot phase in 22-23, but probably at some point of time, maybe either in the coming fiscal year itself or maybe next year, it might become a reality. Are we the only ones doing that, or is it something which is happening world over? So as you could probably see, the data suggests that there are some 73 odd countries world over which already are into some stage or other in the introduction of central bank digital currency. This data is updated as of 31st January, and there might have probably been more countries joining the bandwagon thereafter. So this is something which is a global talk today, everywhere in the world. 61 countries including India are in research phase, 10 countries are in so-called proof of concept phase, 12 countries have launched a pilot phase already. There are 2 countries which claim to have already introduced, of which one is Nigeria. I have actually grave doubts on whether it's actually introduced. Other countries, a small country called Bahamas, but I think these are only 2 countries which say that they've actually physically launched the subject. Among the countries which are in pilot phase includes China, and I'm sure you'll also know that China has banned private cryptocurrencies. It was banned last year, and China has been working on the pilot phase. In the pilot phase, what they're doing is the government lotteries. Whoever wins the government lotteries, they are awarded the prize in form of the crypto Chinese CNY, whatever. The prize money goes in crypto, and that's something which can be spent on stipulated outputs only. And data as of now suggests that all that money has already been spent. That would mean people are happily using digital currency already. So there are lots of countries which currently are introducing central bank digital currency. Now let's understand what exactly is the difference between a currency and other forms of digital payments. So Dr. Roy probably said that we have digital forms of payment already. For example, the credit card in your wallet is a form of it's a digital payment instrument. But can I still call it a currency? What exactly are the defining features of a currency? Basically, today world over we are in form of, let's say, paper currency, but if you recall, let's say 100 years back, there would have probably been a gold standard, silver standard. Currencies either in form of something of intrinsic value. Think of, let's say, old kingdoms when you used to have gold coins or silver coins. What is that currency all about? The currency is all about the intrinsic value of the coin. And in today's situation, we never have currency with intrinsic value, but the currency indicates a promise by the governor of the central bank, the issuing bank, for equal amount of value. So every currency note has that little writing that I promise the bearer of the note a value equal to 100 rupees if that's the note that you're carrying in a pocket. So that's a liability of the central bank. And if you look at the Reserve Bank's balance sheet, you can see on the right hand side of screen I've shown the Reserve Bank's liability side. Notes issued is the liability side of the RBI's balance sheet. So every rupee that you're carrying in your pocket is correspondingly reflected as a liability of the Reserve Bank of India. So currency basically means 2 things, either something of intrinsic value or a liability of the issuer. And currently the payment system that we use are not limited to currencies, and that's something which is, as Dr. Roy also mentioned, that currently we hardly use currency. The use of currencies becomes so very limited because we use variety of payment options. So payment options or payment systems could consist of, let's say, the money that you're carrying in currency form or cash form, or the money that you have in the bank money. And the third option, which is also increasingly getting popularity, is non-bank money. So currency is something that all of you understand. What is bank money? The money lying with the bank, either in form of a balance with the bank or a credit given by the bank. For example, a credit card is not money with the bank, but a line of credit given by the bank. A credit card basically says the limit is 5 lakh rupees. That would mean up to 5 lakhs. The bank allows you to dip into the credit card. It's a line of credit given by the bank. You would normally call it revolving line of credit. So it's a credit line. Or it could be a balance with the bank. If it's a balance with the bank, you can use it in various forms. For example, you can draw the good old check. I think 3 years, 4 years later, we'll probably think checks will also become history. We'll probably tell or sort of recall that we used to write checks earlier. Checks would probably become redundant. I think in many Western countries, checks have actually become redundant already. Or you could use online transfers. Or you could use interoperable instrument, for example, unified payment interface. Or you could use debit cards, or you could have Aadhaar-enabled payment systems. Or you could have non-bank money as well, which could consist of closed-end instruments or semi-closed-end instruments. Non-bank issuers are not allowed to use open-ended instrument. Open-ended instrument means what? Something which can be used anywhere. For example, a credit card can be used anywhere. Therefore, we'll call it open-ended system. Another system that we commonly use is called prepaid instrument, PPIs. And PPIs could be in 3 forms, and closed-end, semi-closed-end, or open-ended. Open-ended meaning it can be used anywhere. Let's say you have a metro card. Metro card can be used only for buying the metro journey, metro ride. So it's a closed-end system. Or let's say a payment instrument can be used in 20 different merchants only. So that we'll call it semi-closed system. Open-ended system is something which can be used anywhere. That system can be, as of now, as per current rules in India, open-ended payments, prepaid instruments can be issued only by commercial banks. So non-banks can issue a closed-end instrument, for example, gift cards or vouchers, or can issue semi-closed-end, for example, mobile wallets. Now, the case for digital currencies in India are twofold. Number one, over recent years, the extent of digital payment system, digital payments has increased tremendously. As you can see, the data is showing very clearly that in 2021-22, a substantial increase in digital payments. And needless to say, during the pandemic, the prevalence or the importance of digital payments increased sharply. People were not able to otherwise use cash. Digital payments were used widely. And that's one reason why digital currencies are needed in India. Second reason, which is obviously very important, is that if the government doesn't do anything, in that case, the private cryptocurrencies will continue to have their own say. And like I mentioned, private cryptos have been growing substantially. I talked about some 10 crores of Indians investing in cryptos currently, 13,000 odd cryptos, of which, for some of these are most popular, such as Bitcoins or Ethereum or Dogecoin or Tether, etc. Now, at the same time, the current forms of digital currency is not exactly similar to what a private or what a central bank digital currency would be. Because all the forms of digital payments currently are still using intermediation. For example, the credit card in your pocket or the debit card in your pocket, it is still issued by an intermediary. Intermediary would mean here what? The bank. A credit card is issued by a bank. A debit card is issued by either a bank or, let's say, non-banking entity. So for each of the digital payment devices, you still have an intermediary. In order to effect payments through a credit card or debit cards, there are costs. Number one, there are balances. You need to maintain balance with somewhere. You either need to maintain a balance with the bank or you're keeping a balance with some non-banking entity. So number one, there are idle balances somewhere. Number two, there are costs of processing. Sometimes you don't get to realize that you paid, let's say, 100 rupees by credit card. You don't get to realize that the actual merchant might have only received 97 rupees because the bank might have deducted merchant fees. So there are costs of each payment. Now, the moment these transfers become cross-border, if your money is going from India to, let's say, US, this cost will increase substantially. On an estimate basis, in case of cross-border transfers, the cost may even go to as much as 4 to 5%. So substantial costs are also involved in any current forms of digital payments. Digital payments are increasing. They're quite convenient, but for the consumers, they're still entailing substantial cost. And that apart, there is a need to maintain transactional balances with banks. Every check, for example, that you're issuing, you need to ensure that there is money in your bank. And the money lies how long? You might have kept the money, let's say it might be fluctuating money on a daily balance, But for any check of 1 crore that you issued, you would ensure the money is put in the bank account 2 days earlier or 1 day earlier to ensure that the money is, credit balance is still there, check doesn't bounce. And thereafter, between the time the money leaves your bank and goes to the pays bank, the money will relax or lie in the pays bank also for some time. So transactional balances in the banking system are still a major cost on the consumers. If you look at the economy or the consumers in general, consumers are being penalized, number one, by the processing fees, and number two, by the so-called transactional balances. Now imagine a system, if we had a central bank digital currency, for example, the currency notes in a pocket is a currency issued by the central bank. If the central bank issued digital currency similarly, so you didn't need to carry a rupee or a sort of a currency note in a wallet, you basically have some kind of, as Dr. Roy was saying, you have some kind of a token, which is a combination of encrypted characters. And those hash encrypted characters mean that you are the owner of digital. Let's say you have 1 lakh rupee as digital currency. So identified by a combination of hash characters, but you are the owner of this 1 lakh. Now this 1 lakh is lying where? This 1 lakh is actually lying to the credit of the central bank. Imagine the Reserve Bank of India becomes issuer of digital currency. That's the concept of central bank digital currency. That is, the central bank itself, like central bank is currently issuing currencies, central bank itself starts issuing digital currency too. So I don't need to carry the currency in my wallet. I have a digital currency which is lying stored in central bank. I can access it through a combination of public key or private key, public key and private key. Very similar to what Dr. was talking about. Somebody needs to be muted. So Dr. was talking about this one key with Professor Kalyan Babu and one key with the principal. That's exactly the system of public and private keys which authenticate the transaction. So the money is issued by central bank in digital form. That's the concept of central bank digital currencies, so-called central bank digital CBDCs. Now, what are the merits of central bank CBDCs? Number one, they reduce settlement risk. The question of any issuer bank defaulting. A credit card issuer defaults. There have been cases where credit card issuers have defaulted. During the global financial crisis, several credit card issuers went bankrupt. If you're holding a card issued by one of the entities which has gone bankrupt, what will you do with the card? You are probably trying to catch a flight. You thought you'll buy the ticket with a card. In the meantime, the card issuer has gone bankrupt. What would you do? So number one, the settlement risk is eliminated completely. Reduced liquidity needs. I mentioned transactional balances with banks. So that need goes off altogether. Number three, provides a completely risk-free alternative to bank deposits. If you think you are keeping money in banks today for the purpose of, safe custody of your money. Number two, for the purpose of a risk-free money lying with the bank. That need will go away completely if you start keeping your money in CBDC form. Now, what are the downsides? It's not that CBDCs will be completely, positive only. There are significant downsides too. One of the most important downsides of CBDCs is that this might reduce the extent of deposits with banks. Now, this is something which is bothering every country which is trying to introduce CBDCs. If CBDCs replace currency or become a sort of universal mode of payment, then people will not need to maintain bank balances for the purpose of payments. Currently, like the so-called current accounts we maintain with banks, and please understand that banks thrive on CASA accounts. Banks do not thrive on fixed deposits. Fixed deposits, of course, have lesser asset liability management risk for banks, but banks actually make money on CASA because the cost of CASA deposits, by CASA I mean current accounts and saving accounts, the cost of CASA deposits for banks is the cheapest. Current accounts don't have any interest at all. Savings account have minor interest. So CASA deposits with the banks are the cheapest source of money for banks. If CASA deposits disappear because people would not need it, if you start using CBDC as the mode of payment, you will not need to keep a current account with the bank at all. So current account money will disappear completely, and as a result, banks will get starved of the money with which they start lending operations. Banks will therefore have to rely on fixed deposits only, and that would mean the cost of money with banks will go up significantly. Cost of money with banks goes up. There has two implications. Number one, availability of credit, and number two, cost of credit. Availability and cost of credit both are very important, for any economy. Profits of banks will disappear. At the same time, availability of credit will become a challenge. So countries are currently questioning whether CBDCs will completely replace physical cash or CBDC will coexist with physical cash. In the month of January 2022, US Federal Reserve Bank also has released a paper on CBDCs, which suggests that the idea is not to completely replace physical cash. I think it would probably be some years. If Ubers and Olas have not completely replaced taxis, they made taxis less necessary today, but they're not completely replaced. Similarly, CBDCs might probably throw a disruptive challenge to banks, but I don't think banks will become completely irrelevant. Probably the nature of participation of banks will change. Functions performed by banks will change. The cost of funds may perhaps increase, but that would not make bank completely irrelevant. So there might be a coexistence of physical currency with CBDCs in time to come. And then a question that comes to everyone's mind is, let's say tomorrow the Reserve Bank introduced CBDCs. And I think for every businessman, the important question will also be that will I be forced to do transactions in CBDC form? Will Modi ji, for example, bring a rule that 10 crore के ऊपर या 5 crore के ऊपर payment करेंगे तो CBDC में payment करना पड़ेगा? I think would be an idea that he would love to try. Right, but will he probably bring this kind of a rule that any payment exceeding a certain amount will have to be done through CBDCs only? That's part one. And part two, supposing such a rule comes, let's say whether this rule comes or not, does it mean the entire amount of money held by every single person in the country will at any point of time be known to RBI? If you're saying CBDC is an account maintained with RBI, therefore technically RBI would know at any particular day who is owning how much wealth. So, and does the RBI know who is having how much currency in a pocket? Can any system with any central bank ever know what is currency in somebody's pocket today? Currency is still the liability of the RBI. Liability to who? Liability to any person who's holding a currency note. But who is holding how much currency note? Other than through something like demonetization, no one can ever come to know. So we have a substantial advantage of anonymity. In currency note, we have a substantial advantage of anonymity. In CBDCs, will that anonymity go away completely? Now, the arguments are still being discussed. I would still say that CBDC is currently an evolving concept. So, central banks across the world are toying with the idea to have a completely anonymous system similar to currency notes. Like Dr. Roy was saying, that from a real name to hash name, it's a one-way traffic. You can go from real name to hash, but from a hash, you can never know who the real owner is, because there's no way of dehashing or reverse engineering of the hash encrypted messages. So like private cryptocurrencies, while we know transaction is happening, like we know one Bitcoin has changed hands from A to B, but who was that A and who was that B, no one would ever know, because that's completely a part of the DLT technology itself. So in CBDCs, the current challenge is that is it possible for the central bank or any authority for that matter to know who are the current owners of how many currencies at any point of time? If the answer is yes, then we have absolutely lost one of the biggest features of currencies, which is anonymity. Or if we say that CBDCs like private cryptocurrencies will also be anonymous, that no one would know, while RBI has issued digital currency, but RBI cannot keep track of who is currently owning what cryptocurrency. Then we have other big issue, which is the issue of what you call anti-money laundering issue. Currently the biggest challenge, I think big challenge which, and Dr. also mentioned about that, the big challenge with any financial activity currently in the world is money laundering. The use of money or the use of financial assets for money laundering. Money laundering, by the way, doesn't mean what we commonly mean in India, which is black money, etc. Money laundering is largely concerned with crime, funding terrorist activities. Huge amount of money flows for funding these activities, and that money mostly is unaccounted for money. So if the transactions are allowed to remain completely anonymous, then what happens to anti-money laundering safeguards? What happens to PAML? What happens to KYC? KYC, which is Know Your Customer, or PML, Prevention of Anti-Money Laundering, these are concepts which are relevant only if transactions are, not anonymous. Transactions are with named entities. The moment we move to anonymous transactions, then PML and KYC completely take a toss. So that's the big concern with all cryptocurrencies currently. I did not want to spend much time on the private cryptocurrencies because that's a very, I would say, extremely volatile word. But I would make a couple of more observations. I hope I can probably spend another 2 minutes, right? So I'll make two comparisons which are in fact relevant. Number one, something called stable coins. Like we have private cryptocurrencies, which are something like Bitcoins, etc. And we have central bank digital currency, which are yet evolving. There's another concept called stable coins. A stable coin basically is what? It's a digital currency, but backed by equal amount of fiat currency. Fiat currency means the normal currency. For example, if we have a stable coin, let's say representing US dollars, and I have $1 of digital currency, I will have $1 of physical currency as well. That physical currency is lying parked with some bank. The physical currency is still with some bank, and the digital currency simply replaces a physical currency. That's called stable coins. Now, stable coins obviously are backed by fiat currency, and therefore they are far more stable. Their prices are exactly same as the exchange value of the currency, and that is therefore a much stable idea. But the private cryptocurrencies versus central bank digital currency, there are significant differences. Number one, as Dr. Roy mentioned, in case of private cryptocurrencies, there is no issuer at all. There is no single issuer. The currencies are mined on the system itself. There's a miner, but there is no issuer at all. And the form is digital, whereas in case of CBDCs, the issuer is central bank. In case of private currencies, the technology used is entirely distributed ledger technology, DLT. But in case of CBDCs, the technology may be either DLT or maybe a centralized ledger. Just to sort of make you familiar with the concept, DLT or distributed ledger technology versus centralized ledger technology. Currently, if you have transactions with your bank is maintaining your ledger, so-called statement of account or ledger. That's an account maintained with the bank itself. So it's a centralized ledger. In case of private cryptocurrencies, the currency is owned by whatever individuals at any point of time. That's recorded in a network of computers. It's not in one single computer, but it's distributed across a network of computers. Hence the word distributed ledger technology, DLT. So DLT is the backbone of blockchain or backbone of private cryptocurrencies. But in CBDCs, it's not necessarily DLT. It could even be a centralized ledger. The blockchain type could be public or permissioned. Governance will be centralized because the entire system of issuance will be central bank in case of CBDCs. And it would be backed by domestic monetary reserves. That's another very important point Dr. Roy was mentioning. Dr. Roy was saying that if we imagine private cryptocurrencies coming into the market, currently private cryptocurrencies are floating in a closed circuit of crypto users only. For example, you cannot go to the sabji market and buy aloo or buy pyaj with cryptocurrency because those people are not going to accept cryptocurrency. So inflationary potential of private cryptocurrency is highly limited right now. On the contrary, the assets like NFT, I'm sure all of you would have heard about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. The inflationary potential of cryptocurrencies is clearly seen in the prices of NFTs. I mean, somebody comes with a piece of art, which is actually a virtual piece of art. Virtual art, which is there in the, computer system only. And the prices of that piece of art start fluctuating within the cryptocurrency system. You would have probably noted some fantastic figure that one piece of art sold for $63 million. As much as $63 million was the price for one piece of art. So that inflation is happening in the NFT market. Thank God not in the commodity market, not in the market of assets which you regularly use. In case of CBDCs, will they still have the inflationary potential? Answer would still be no. CBDCs will not have the inflationary potential. Why? Because CBDCs will still be backed by domestic reserve system of the RBI. RBI issues cryptos. RBI issuing currency note is the same basis. That would mean the same safeguards of maintaining the extent of currency in the country, maintaining inflationary pressure in the country will all be taken care of by the central bank while issuing CBDCs too. And there will be, whether they will be issued directly by central bank or will it be routed through financial intermediaries, so-called payment system providers, or let's say banks, most likely CBDCs will also be using an intermediated platform. It's not like that RBI will start transacting directly with people of India. RBI will probably still be using payment system providers, for example, commercial banks or authorized payment system providers for issuing CBDCs. This is called intermediated CBDC system. Intermediated, it would be working through intermediaries. Because the problem is if central bank starts transacting with people directly, this will make central bank into a huge organization. Central banks across the world are lean organizations. They don't have too many people. Banks have too many people, lot of people. Banks have branches. RBI doesn't have that kind of a branch network or that kind of machinery to handle transactions with people directly. So quite likely issuance of CBDCs will be through an intermediated system. Final point, if let's say we come across CBDCs and let's say we decide that we will convert our 10 lakhs of my asset into CBDCs, will I be able to convert that CBDC back into rupees 10 lakhs? Will it be two-way convertibility, or will it just be like one way I can convert my currency notes into CBDC, but I cannot convert CBDC back into currency? If it's CBDC, it will be complete fungibility either way. That is, you can convert your money into CBDC and you can convert CBDC back into money, allowing therefore perfect fungibility as is currently applicable in case of currency notes. You can put your currency in a bank and you can draw the currency from the bank. It's a two-way fungibility. Same way in case of CBDCs as well, two-way fungibility is clearly promised. That's the, I would say, broad caricature of CBDCs which are currently evolving. But I think what we are discussing today is seemingly like evolutionary subject. And I'm sure a year later, if we were to hold this meeting in February 2023, I'm sure a lot of work would have been done already, and many people would have become far more familiar with CBDCs than the 20-somethings that we have at home. So currently it's a matter of 20-somethings at home, but I think in a year from now, 40-somethings or 50-somethings would also be familiar with this topic. I think with this, I'll close my remarks here, and thank you very much for such a patient hearing.
Thank you, Vinod ji. And I believe Hanish ji, has he joined? Okay. Then, yeah.
Demand.
If anybody has any queries or observations, Dr. Roy is with us, Vinod ji Kothari is with us.
Correct. And in case
We
of
can have
CBDC, we'll
close
go ahead and
interactions with
but
them.
Private cryptocurrencies can be fluctuating. Sorry, I'll just go there.
तुम कुछ हाँ मिस्टर चंद्रा
Whoever can answer, because my question is from a total layman's point of view. Something I have knowledge of. This cryptocurrency where what we are discussing, my question is, in what I have grown up in life, that in physics there cannot be a zero, you have to build up, and in economics you have to build up. This cryptocurrency is being formed globally, as he was saying, and there are many private players. But how is the base value created? I create a digital world, I am selling, what I have understood is, then people are buying and selling crypto. But the creator, what is his wealth creation? How does one create that wealth to issue a cryptocurrency? I hope my question is not so fully.
I think your question is relevant. See, this is what is very strange for me also. When Satoshi Nakamoto proposed this one, now I thought he was mad. Because he's telling, solve these problems, I'll give a Bitcoin. Okay, so he's creating wealth of nowhere. So it was probably 50 cents for one. You solve one problem, you get this thing. This is bizarre, right? I just couldn't believe, and I thought this is a nut. And we don't know even who he is, or is she, or who, or group, or we don't know. But as soon as the community accepts that, it starts moving. So
No, like if you go to a gambling den abroad, like whether it's Nepal or US, you're paying a money to get those coins.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
actually you are exchanging a value.
Yes, but here you are solving a problem and you are getting something. He says he's giving you this much. Nowhere exists. Now, if all of us accept that by solving problem, he is giving this money and it's my money, then it becomes some kind of acceptable to the universe. And this is what I'm still not able to understand. Why? Maybe the business people can do it better.
I surely cannot claim to be understanding what is value creation method in cryptos, but I'll give an example. Is it coming in the mic? Okay. So let's take an example. Let's say I'm hungry and you have a piece of bread, right? Mr. Mitra,
Chandra.
Mr. So Ms. Chandra, let's agree that you give me a piece of bread, I'll sing a song for you. So what's the value of my song? One piece of bread. Let's say now my singing becomes more precious and I'll say, Mr. Chandra, I'll still sing a song for you, but I'll do it against two pieces of bread. So we agree you probably like my song, so you probably say, okay, I'll give you 2 pieces of bread and I'll still sing the same song. So what's the value of my song now? 2 breads. This is how value creation happens. So value creation is what people are willing to exchange a Bitcoin for. Bitcoins are still circulating within a closed fraternity of Bitcoin. The fraternity is not like small. Like I said, 10 crore people in India. I think world over it could probably be easily something like 200 crore people investing or transacting in Bitcoins. Those people are able to accept that Bitcoin is today worth $38,000. So $38,000 is the price at which a Bitcoin is trading in so-called crypto exchanges.
So this is my question. How does that 38,000 achieve
So
that?
that's basically somebody's perceived that it's now rising in value. Value is perceptional. Value doesn't here represent the value of some intrinsic underlying asset. There's no underlying asset here at all. But $38,000 US, for example, is not $38,000 worth of gold. If it was possible to buy gold against cryptocurrency, I'll probably go and exchange 1 Bitcoin against $38,000 worth of gold as well. For example, Tesla is willing to take payments in cryptocurrencies as well. So if Tesla accepts payment in cryptocurrency, I can actually go and buy a car from Tesla and pay in Bitcoins. So the issue basically is the value creation happens by transactional, sort of interest of Bitcoin users in that closed, and when I say closed, it's not like 10 people in a room. It's 100 crores of people exchanging transactions in a Bitcoin platform or cryptocurrency platforms. So the platforms are what is responsible for the values, and because there is no intrinsic value there, that's why the prices tend to widely fluctuate. Before the budget, it was closing at something like $50,000 US, now it's crashed to $38,000. So prices have been moving violently up and down. The authorities, the regulators across the world hold the view that these prices are completely speculative. There's no basis for the prices. It's a speculative. I would also say that you can also understand the nature of the Bitcoin prices, the cryptocurrency prices, by looking at the prices of the non-fungible tokens which are being priced at astronomical values. One piece of art, for example, which is nothing but a JPEG image, goes for some $63 million. So that's exactly the speculative aspect of crypto prices. So in answer to your question, price of anything is dependent on 2 things. Number 1, the limitation on supply, and number 2, the demand. Supply is limited, demand is increasing, which is why the prices are going up. Why is the supply limited? Because everyone who now mines a new Bitcoin has to do tremendously far more effort. You would have probably Dr. Roy would be more of an expert to point on that. But one of the arguments against private cryptocurrencies is that the extent of energy consumption which is going in mining 1 Bitcoin, every new Bitcoin has to be mined with enormously increasing amount of, exponentially increasing amount of effort. And that effort, of course, is time on computers. So the time on computers the younger generation is putting for each 1 Bitcoin or fraction of Bitcoin is exponentially increasing. So currently the Bitcoin itself, if it was, say Bitcoin was a nation or was a country somewhere, it would be one of the biggest energy consumers worldwide. The extent of energy which is going, let alone the amount of time, sheer electric energy, that's tremendous. So the supply is kept limited by the sheer design of the cryptocurrency, because every cryptocurrency requires, the mining effort required is more and more exponentially increasing, and therefore supply becomes, it's not completely limited, but supply becomes increasingly tough, demand increases, which is what is responsible for the price. The simple rule of economics, the game of demand and supply. Hope I'm able to give some sense on the question.
Yeah, but my
There's no
the
intrinsic
skepticism remains is nothing.
Nothing beyond that.
Yes, it's more where we had Sarada Narada giving 30-40% interest out of
So the
air.
RBI is equally expecting, more skeptical than you. From what we hear from the RBI Deputy Governor's T. Ravishankar's speech, I think on 12th of February this year, RBI is surely not comfortable in legalizing. If RBI had, I'm sure everyone understands that before the Supreme Court ruling in the month of March 2020, RBI had sort of banned cryptocurrency in India. Supreme Court, however, struck it down. Supreme Court said you don't have powers, which is why we're thinking of passing a separate law for banning private cryptocurrencies. That law, I don't think currently, with looking at the extent of, youngsters' interest in this field, I don't think the government will directly come and sort of illegalize cryptocurrencies. The government thought maybe imposing 30% tax would be sort of one way of discouraging. Reality, however, is that after 30% tax, the prices have actually gone up. Even though now it's legal. Everyone thinks now it's legal, I'll have to pay 30% tax. So if I make a profit and pay 30%, I'm still taxing 70%. So, but I think it's far from clear in terms of legality. RBI is not in favor for sure, but once RBI comes with CBDCs, then probably they'll try discouraging private cryptos and stuff.
What is the smallest denomination for the cryptocurrency? Because I understand some restaurants or something, they are accepting payments in cryptocurrencies.
0.001.
Even less.
Even less. It could be as well
Even less than that.
0.001.
I think
Okay.
0.1 to the power of 20 probably could be.
Yeah, could be.
Imagine the number of zeros. 0.1 to the power of 20 is 19 zeros before 1, so they can accept fractions. It can go in fractions of fractions of fractions.
It will not go in.
Private crypto is not my subject, I wouldn't be able to say, but youngsters say that it can be very, very odd. You can buy crypto
सही बड़ा
for
होगा
$1,000.
सारदा
With
घंटे
the price
बड़ा
of
है
$38,000. Exchanges you can invest $1,000. So now you can imagine how much you buy. For 1,000 rupees, something which is worth 38,000 US dollars, how much would you buy? So they are accepting 1,000 rupees also, because their idea is to attract smaller, younger individuals. That's the whole game. So I'm sure you would also notice that day before yesterday, the Advertising Standards Council has put a bar that henceforth no ad of cryptocurrency will refer to it as a currency. It's wrong to call it currency. Dr. was absolutely right. Currency means what? Currency has to be, there has to be some issuer. There's no issuer at all. How could it be currency? So they cannot call themselves a currency. Probably that would discourage a bit, but I think it's now become too big a cult to be
Controlled.
completely killed.
And is different cryptos are
Mutually fungible?
no,
No. They are not
like Bitcoin and
No.
Ethereum or
Yeah.
What about considering the security parameters of the and the home industry, security parameters like there are already overpricing, underpricing, all these things are there. How can central bank CBDC, if the CBDC comes, it's okay. CBDC comes, then how do you think that? Means from a core point, means the central bank is regulating it, but how will the private world will be, the private cryptocurrencies will be controlled?
See, we really don't know, to be very honest. To be very honest,
We really don't know.
Gray area.
Yeah, it's a very gray area.
Gray area.
So it's evolving, so we don't really know, to be very honest.
Sir, my question here is when it's a gray area, we know that it's a gray area and the value is also being said to be perceptional. So, but at the same time, the finance secretary, the finance minister, everyone is giving that we will bring it. So when we will bring it, then means
Okay,
there is a plan.
let him.
There is a plan, at least by keeping a hold of the security parameters also it will be brought.
I think Mr. Kothari would like.
Yeah.
So,
it's more a policy, so.
yeah, I think as a matter of, like I said, if you read the RBI Deputy Governor's speech, it's there on RBI's website. Probably see on the index page itself, it will show up. It's of 12th February, I guess, of 2022. And Mr. Ravi Shankar, Deputy Governor, is definitely not in favor. So it's given various arguments why the government will not, it cannot be regulated, it cannot be taken as currency, it's not a commodity, it's not an asset. Various ways it's not a security, it's gone on various arguments to say that this is not something that the RBI favors. So the question is the government going to ban it? If the government wanted to ban, probably this session would have been would have been the session where the government could have brought the ban. Like many countries in the world, I think the government's idea might be just wait and watch. China has taken the bold step of banning it. Other than China, it's mostly the Arabic world, because the Arabic world thinks it's speculative, therefore, and Islam as such hates any speculative assets. So Arabic countries have banned it. I think a lot of countries, like say the entire European Union, similarly US, they have sort of brought CBDC concepts as if that would be an answer to the outgrowth of private cryptocurrency. They have not brought a banning legislation, which is the reason why the Supreme Court considered all the arguments saying even European Union has not done it, US has not done it, most of the developed countries have not done it. So why would India, with no specific powers in the RBI, why would the RBI bring a notification and ban cryptocurrencies? If somebody was to ban it, it would be Government of India, not Reserve Government. So maybe the thinking is still to wait and watch and let the concept of CBDCs become popular first. Then maybe the government might try to either curb the use of private cryptos or do whatever else. But as of now, I mean, it doesn't seem like a straight ban is coming anytime soon. I'm just guessing.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. And we're running short of time as well. I would request Mr. N.G. Khetan, our Senior Vice President.
Sir, before Shri Khetan proposes the vote of thanks, we have mementos to present to our guest-in-chief, Padma Shri Dr. Bimal Kumar Rai, and our guest speaker, Shri Vinod Kothari. So I would request, sir, to present the mementos to Dr. Roy.
Thank you.
We have one more, sir.
Oh, one more. Thank you.
I would now request Shri Khetan to present the memento to Shri Kothari.
When is the Ashmi office, your chair?
Very soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Sir, this is Dokra. This is Dokra art. This is Dokra art.
Tuldani, I think you should present one memento to Mr. Khetan as well, particularly that Dokra art.
Sure, sir. Surely.
Yeah.
I would now request Shri Khetan to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Very, very normal for us to propose a vote of thanks to our distinguished speakers. Only yesterday, a senior executive from Birla's who is retiring in 31st of March, and he was with Birla's for 45 years. He came to see me and said that I am now going to retire. I used to work with him very closely. Then casually for the first time I asked him, what's your children doing? And then he said, I have 3 sons. I don't know whether one of his sons is here or not, because I asked him. Then he said, my 3rd son is doing, he was a bit hesitant, but then he said, my 3rd son is doing cryptocurrency, He was a bit hesitant. So I said, okay, we are having a session, so, you can ask him to. So I don't know whether some Poddar is present here or not, but then I invited him. And then when the tax of 30% was imposed, one of my cousin came to me and wanted to understand about it. I said, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. And then he said, you know, one of our cousin's son has shifted to Dubai and doing cryptocurrency business because they say that it's a business where you can make a lot of money and they want an easy life, enjoy life and make money. So then I became very interested in it. Can I go into it also, you know? And if you see Times of India of last 3-4 days, Vinodji, there have been articles on cryptocurrency, and I have a habit of making cuttings of things which I really don't know, so that I can. And when I had that cutting, I came to learn that between the RBI circular and the Supreme Court judgment, that within the period of these 2 years, nearly 30 to 50 entrepreneurs, Indian entrepreneurs, shifted to Dubai and Singapore and started doing this blockchaining and all that kind of things. And then the other report was, as you said, that there are 10 crores, and one of the reports said that in India, about 15 to 20 million crypto investors are in India and holding worth about $5.37 billion. So that's a very interesting figure in the sense that so many people, nearly about 2 crores people, that's an estimate. I mean, they are doing in crypto, and those are mostly youngsters, as you rightly said. Now, there must be something. I mean, this business must, why they are attracting, maybe it's like a stock market, you know, as people say that's one area where you can make a lot of money, and it's a question of demand and supply. There is less of, you know, when a company buys its own stock, it creates an artificial shortage of stocks and the prices go up. So this is one area which is a very interesting area in the sense a lot of youngsters are going in. People are interested to do business in. Some countries have regulated it, or they are in the process of regulating it. The government of India has said that it is a speculative asset and imposed a 30% tax on that. They recently, 2 days back, came out with a circular and advertisement that if you have advertise on cryptocurrency, you have to say that, you know, this is a speculative asset. So from the point of view, there is a recognition on part of the government of India that there is some kind of an asset which is a speculative asset, and every day we hear in the market whether a mutual fund is a speculative asset or not. So you have mutual fund में निवास करना risky तो है, but ये safe भी है, you know. Exactly, you know. So mutual fund also comes with that advertisement. Stock market also. So I think there is a sense that, you know, this is a speculative instrument, but this is an instrument which will attract youngsters to go into and invest money into it. It is going to develop. It is developing every day. I mean, not that it has not developed. I mean, as he rightly said that there are 13,000 cryptocurrencies in the world today, and there are 10 crores worldwide invested in the cryptocurrency. So something is very, very important in the sense this is one asset which is going to be used, which is going to be traded in, and people will get into it more and more. So I really don't know whether the other countries would ban it or they would like to encourage it. Maybe they will encourage it as a people gamble. You know, gamble is one of the biggest businesses of the world. So this will also become like a gambling where it will become one of the very, very important businesses. So with these words, I would like to propose a very hearty vote of thanks to Sri Roy. You know, we rarely have Padma Shris in our midst, so thank you. And also my good friend Vinod Bhai, and thank you very much for being with us. And at least I felt more educated today that what cryptocurrency is all about. Maybe if some client comes to me, I'll take some money and advise him to. So, thanks a lot for attending this session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So before we close the program, we have a memento for Shri Khaitan. I would request.
For me.
They got it already. That is what is speculative.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would request everyone to join us for lunch. Thank you.